Hello, and welcome to the Everyday Republic podcast. Wow, a busy day today uh, with the government shutdown and the stock market and the recent FISA uh, discovery here. So let's get right into it. Uh, First things first, if you guys would like to see more or support the podcast, just go over to everydayrepublic.com or do an organic search for the Everyday Republic and you'll see us there. So let's get right into it. So first story that I thought should be examined a little bit is an AP story from the Associated Press. Women will march again with aim to become a political force. Now everybody remembers the Women's March on Day Without a Woman, I believe back during the summer, possibly July. And then of course the women's marches in Washington, D.C. on January 21st of 2017. If you'll recall, that's the day after the inauguration of Donald J. Trump. These protests will be for the hashtag #MeToo movement, and also out of, I think we can say, hatred or a severe disliking of the President of the United States. Excuse me. So it starts out a year after more than 1 million people rallied at women's marches worldwide with a message of female empowerment and protest against President Donald Trump. Activists will return to the streets this weekend in hopes of converting anger and enthusiasm into political force. Now, what exactly are these women trying to prove? Yeah, I get it, the hashtag #MeToo movement, but there have actually been Hollywood stars, such as, I think, her name was like Blanca or something like that. Bianca Blanca, right? And she said that the hashtag #MeToo movement was a little bit too far for her taste, and she wore red to the Golden Globes into the Golden Globes instead of jumping on the bandwagon and wearing black like everyone else, and having a fellow sexual assault victim at her side. She wasn't the only one, but definitely the most prominent one. So what do these women want? I assume they want recognition for the Democratic Party. I assume they want, in connection with today, amnesty for all DACA recipients. They want open borders, and they don't like Donald Trump. They want him out. They don't like the GOP. They want them out. They want complete democratic control. And if you do not believe me, ask one of the biggest feminists, one of the biggest prominent feminists during our time, Hillary Rodham Clinton, who ran for president under a feminist light, and she lost. She lost an election. But the point still stands that feminists are Democrats. The bottom line, feminists are Democrats. So so we can see that they're rallying today, or they're rallying this year because they want to win Senate seats for the Democrats. And it's not just one side of the deal. The Democrats are fighting for feminists too. For everything radical feminists are fighting for, such as, white privilege, male privilege. They believe in mansplaining and all that. It's really a perversion of regular activity done by men and women. But we won't focus on that. Anyway, the LGBT rights, the whole nine yards, and this is why the Democrats will not win a major election. This is why, because their reputation has been stained. They are incapable of satisfying voters with this mansplaining, white male privilege, because when you victimize a certain amount of people at once, or when you accuse a certain amount of people, there are going to be some people who just don't forgive you and just won't vote for you anymore. And that's what these people don't understand, is that they don't think they're accusing a majority. They think white male, even white women or black women or whatever kind of women for Trump, Republican women who vote for Trump or who are Republican, they'll victimize them. And even the women who hang out with other Republican women, they'll or accuse them. And it's not pretty, and it's not going to be pretty for the Democrats. Oh, also, so this wasn't on my list, but I'll go ahead and say it anyway. So, apparently the Attorney General of California has decided to prosecute anyone who, any employer or anyone who decides to report illegal aliens to ICE or order an ICE pickup from their state. I could go many ways, but I'll start with the obvious way, which is this is completely ludicrous. This is, in effect, California denying to follow federal law. This is the nullification crisis of 1823, when South Carolina just decides to not pay a tax, a government tax. This is California deciding to not deport illegal aliens, or at least report illegal aliens. And this is the first step, unfortunately, in the secession of California, if they keep this up, and this is scary, honestly, because we can't have California going as much as we dread the politics that comes out of California, and what those politicians stand for. Nancy Pelosi, the most prominent one. We can't have California secede, and it's scary. And that's very that's a very big step in this process, and it's very hard to be talking about that, but it's what needs to be talked about, because California is a lovely state, and we desperately need to keep the union together, especially since there are such great tensions between the Republicans and the Democrats. But you know what? If California keeps going down this road, maybe it won't be such a bad thing that they secede. And again, it's a very big step to take, and honestly, it's extreme to even talk about that when they just don't want illegal immigrants to be deported. It's no big deal. Well, it is. They're denying to enforce federal law, and the Attorney General has stated that he will prosecute you if you report an illegal alien for deportation to ICE. And it's sickening, honestly, because they are valuing illegal aliens over California citizens. And I believe Tucker Carlson on Fox has talked a lot about this and has had a lot of debates with activists and illegal immigrant activists, and he can't get an answer for why illegal immigration and why helping illegal immigrants get more will help U.S. citizens in the end. And it's not okay, is the bottom line, which is why they never have an answer. Anyway, to a lighter note, although not the lightest note. So Tom Cole, this is from the Daily Caller. Tom Cole he is on a very strong congressional bandwagon here, or not really a bandwagon because not everybody's on it, but you get the point. He wants to release the FISA warrant, or FISA memo, rather. And this FISA memo was something that came out of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act that could have information for the Senate Intelligence Committee, for the House Intelligence Committee, that could have information about whether or not the Obama administration actually spied on the Trump administration to get information about them. And this is scary. The federal institution for the Federal or Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act was just recently passed by Congress. Section 702, but of course that applies more to foreign surveillance as opposed to domestic. But Tom Cole, representative out of Oklahoma, Republican, said that, you know, the American people should be able to see this stuff and make their own conclusions. In fact, he said, and I quote, "The one thing we can do is urge our intelligence committee to have a vote to release this, and you could have a vote by the full House of Representatives. I have no doubt that the House would vote to make this available to the American people." These are strong words, but this is a strong topic, and I I agree with Tom Cole that the Congress should vote on whether the FISA memo should be released to the American people. Just see where this took us. Just see what conclusions we draw from this. And honestly, the FISA in the first place is a very, very soft topic, or not soft, but tender, to say the least. You have to be careful, because there's one side that says we want to protect Americans from all threats, foreign and domestic. But there's another side that says, I don't like being spied on all the time. Even if I'm not doing anything wrong, I don't like that. Seeing what I'm doing all day long, and then when I do, do something that could be remotely connected to a crime, I'm a criminal. So that's not good, and that's why the whole FISA program is so touchy and so not talked about so much, because I guess we feel better if we don't talk about that. And that's all there is to say about that. Tom Cole wants the FISA memo released to the American people to see if they have anything to say about it, and see what conclusions they come to, whether the Obama administration was actually spying on the president, and what the president has to say about that, what the president's family has to say about that, because they were around the president when the campaign trail was still around. Then that the president's family had to have been spied on by the Obama administration to get to Trump. But whatever. And of course, last thing. So looks like we will. First things first, I think that the government shutdown is going to be averted. I do not think that there is going to be a government shutdown. A lot of the time, the government shutdowns are averted last minute, and it's a win-win for libertarians, because one side, they're like, well, this is a good thing, because we're not wasting the taxpayer money on government bureaus that we don't need, and we're not getting further into debt. Whereas the other side says, no, this isn't the right time. We don't need a government shutdown right now. But here's the bottom line on this whole government shutdown. We saw this from the Obama administration back in 2013. The Democrats are weaponizing the government shutdown. They see that the Republicans are vulnerable when it comes to this because we don't have enough votes to do it by ourselves. We need bipartisan support for this bill. And when we can't get it, the Democrats are going to blame it all on us and try to, swing votes their way for the midterms because the Republicans are evil and they won't fund the government. Whereas the Republicans will say the Democrats want amnesty for all illegal immigrants and they don't want border security. And they don't care what Trump wants. They want what they want. And when they can't get what they want, they are willing to shut down the government. Here's the thing. The Democrats are sort of acting like children here. When they don't get what they want, they're going to throw a fit and shut down the government. They're not going to say, pay a military member overseas, who, by the way, is fighting for secure borders, protect all threats, foreign and domestic. Meanwhile, the Democrats are trying to not pay those people. The Democrats want open borders. The Democrats want exactly the opposite of what their servicemen and women are fighting for, and they're willing to not pay those same people who keep them safe at night. That's what this is. To look at it any other way is to ignore the issue. And we can't afford to ignore the issue. The government shuts down in looks like about 3 hours. And, maybe we avert it, maybe we don't. Again, libertarian senators profit by this either way. They benefit from this morally. Of course, the government has some emergency funds to fund the government for a little while after a government shutdown. But after that, if we go into this government shutdown for a month, 2 months, 3 months, then there's going to be some serious changes in the government because they can't pay anybody. They have no money. And okay, yeah, I guess I'm taking this to the extreme, but it's an extreme topic, folks. This is extreme. Anyway, last thing, there probably is not going to be a government shutdown. It always works out in the end. At the last minute, people vote to uphold a bill to fund the government. But if the Democrats remain unified in this, which a lot of people hope they do, so that way the Democrats can be blamed for the shutdown, then we won't get a temporary resolution or a long-term spending bill, and we'll be left with a government shutdown. This has been the Everyday Republic podcast. Again, if you would like to show your support to this podcast, visit everydayrepublic.com or make an organic search for the Everyday Republic, and you can support this podcast by visiting. And if you want more, just stay tuned. I will try to get podcasts up daily. If I can't, every 2 days. But we will be right here during those podcasts tackling the real issues from a conservative standpoint. Thank you very much, and have a great day.